So as somebody that's been following global aquaculture for almost 25 years now, what's interesting to me is how much progress there's been, but also how much of the promise is already being delivered. I mean, we've seen aquaculture surpass wild-caught fish in total human edible product, and then we've seen aquaculture next year, I think, surpass total wild-caught fish production. Aquaculture all in past beef production about 3 years ago. So aquaculture is kind of here to stay, and that's a good thing because we got to figure out how to get to 2050, and the only way we're going to produce more seafood is through aquaculture. There, the narrative is a little sketchier. We have in the salmon industry an entire sector where people are working together, unlike has happened in any other producer group that I'm aware of. In fact, that's not only leading for aquaculture, it's leading for other sectors, where the best producers are helping the worst producers get better because they realize the reputation of the entire industry is based on moving the bottom. And so license to operate, access to markets, solving problems actually is really important. Salmon a long time ago figured out how to reduce food waste. That's a big issue. How do we do that in shrimp? How do we do that in tilapia? How do we do that in other species? Those are things we need to think about. How do we resolve some of the disease issues like sea lice? We haven't solved that in salmon. We've gotten better, but we need to figure out how to do that. I think these pre-competitive approaches, though, in aquaculture are going to be a lot easier than they are in wild caught because aquaculture producers already share a lot of things in common. So we've got to figure out how to do that. Can we change the investment side? Can we get some patient capital to come in and help solve some of these problems because there's a long-term payoff if we find fish meal, fish oil substitutes. But maybe that's the biggest single issue in terms of sustainable aquaculture is that we're getting the use of wild fish down to a point of 1-to-1 or even much less in some species. And that's a big issue. I'd like to see us work together more. I'd like to see us bring more venture capital in to help solve the problems. And I'd like to see us begin to really think about how to move the bottom because that's where the big impacts are. So when the better producers help the worst ones move along or buy them out and get them out of the market so that they actually start improving their production, that's where the future's got to be.